some of the fastest growing brands that I've seen, they have this view that anyone is an influencer because it's simply taking the most powerful form of marketing, word of mouth, and creating a system that scales that. Influence is basically being democratized to, you don't need the name of a huge publication behind you to have people reading or watching what you're doing.
Welcome back to The Materialist. I am Mark Bridge, the founder and CEO of At Present, matchmaker to extraordinary jewelry, and I am your host. On the pod today, Tiffany Lopinsky, the president and co-founder of ShopMy, the dominant and emergent platform in the world of, I don't know what you would call it, social shopping, content creation.
Yeah, all of that.
All of the ways that we bridge the gap between the people that we look to and bringing things into our lives. And I was eager to talk with Tiffany because she is helping build that connection. And At Present is founded on this idea of being a matchmaker between independent artists and great designers and people looking for something new. And I feel like what you guys are doing is making that possible in a way that really wasn't up until, I don't know, the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, totally. No, I love that description of what we're doing. But I would say for the audience who may not be familiar, you've probably seen us of like favorite content creators using our affiliate links, or if they have a store in their Instagram bio, they're displaying the products that they're talking about on social. And then on the brand side, we basically have brands using us to find these content creators, work with them, and grow their relationship. And how we think about a way to look at these content creators, and storytellers definitely being one of them, but almost like their own store, their own retailer, like department store. And there are all these like little mini versions of that, and helping brands big and small connect with the creators in that way, so that creators can, one of the things that is the most exciting about the business to me is helping them make content and make money from their content in a way that is organic and like authentic, rather than just having to do paid, traditional flat fee paid partnerships.
And for those who are not familiar with this world, give us the scope of where the creator economy is today, and then maybe use that as an entry to how and why are you building what you are building?
With content creators, how I kind of ground people in it is there's usually 2 to 3 main ways that they're making money. The number one, and the one that we're most familiar with, is flat fee sponsored posts. So a brand reaches out to a creator, says, I want to do a deal with you, I'll pay you, this is what you need to say, you need to review the content with me, post it. And that's been going on for probably 10, 15 years. And
ever since we've been glued to these little boxes in our pocket.
Since we started looking at our Instagram grids and all of that. And the other way that has become a lot more popular recently, which is where we sit, is affiliate revenue. So that just means if an influencer is sharing a link, or if they have a storefront, they're getting, if you know you're a shopper, you click through and buy it, you're getting a % of their sales. And the third, and also rising way for influencers to make money, is subscriptions. So, you know, many of you have probably subscribed to Substacks. I know a lot of your guests have Substacks too, and incredible ones that I personally subscribe to. So I think a creator can live a better like life that they're more excited about if they're leaning more heavily on the affiliate and subscription, just because they can basically wake up and talk about what they want to talk about, rather than have to wait for deals that they might not be excited about just to make ends meet. And it's something that they're more in control over. So that's how they're making money, and where ShopMy comes into it. One is giving them a tool to do that, so the influencers get on and they have like thousands of brands that they can earn commission with. And most importantly, the brands can see their sales, their earnings, and that encourages and facilitates all these types of partnerships with the brands, whether it's happening on our platform or not. But just giving them access to that data, a way to communicate, and we're just facilitating that process and also discovery for the brands.
Would you share your sort of origin story as it relates to you as a materialist and also as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So in college, I was a content creator myself. So not in fashion and in beauty, but in food. I've just loved food. Started an Instagram called Boston Foodies, started posting. And this was very early days of the whole content creation thing. And eventually brands had started reaching out to me, restaurants had started reaching out to me to go out to eat, to Open Table paid me to post about restaurants in Boston. So I just started to learn about how this all works with agents, with brands, and how people make money as this whole thing was being shaped, and was completely fascinated by it. And then I graduated from college. I worked at this advertising agency doing business strategy and analytics. And then I later went to a startup, not having any desire necessarily to work at startups, just met this guy and thought this sounds like a cool opportunity. I ended up meeting my co-founder there. And I have two co-founders, Harry and Chris. And basically they had been working on something and had come to me and said, after working with Harry for a couple of years, hey, we started building this. My co-founder, Chris, had this problem that he was trying to solve of also knowing things about the content creator space, and that no one was creating websites anymore. Like the first iteration of influencer was everyone has their own website, and you knew all these influencers by that. The second iteration was people are just going straight to TikTok, straight to Instagram. And then it's where they're talking about all these products, where can they store them? So that was like the original thing that we launched with, was we're a place where you can link anything you want. Doesn't matter if it's Amazon, Sephora. At present, your sister has a candle store on Shopify. You can link anything. And it was basically just like a blog for products almost. And then everything with affiliate and all that we layered in, but that was like our MVP for launch. So we worked on it while we were at our other company for about 6 months, and then launched it, raised a small friends and family round, and then just started and learned as we went. Yeah.
And it has grown into something that is now enabling how many people to do this as a full or part-time job?
Yeah. We have about 175,000 creators on the platform, and that can be anyone who they have a full-time job and they're doing this on the side, to people who have millions of followers and this is a huge business for them. And on the brand side, we have about 30,000 brands that we have commission with, and then about 1,000 that basically use us to find influencers, usually to gift to. They gift to them, they work with them on affiliate capacity, and grow and maintain this community of people who love them, who also have an audience.
I will say that you have done this better than the earlier entrants into this space, which at least from our perspective didn't work, or at least were very frustrating to work with. What did you guys do differently?
I think our approach has always been like stay very close to the customer, learn what they want, and iterate on it quickly. My co-founder, who's our engineer, he is probably the best engineer I've ever met from when I worked with engineers before this. And he's just can build so quickly. So we would talk to influencers, learn about what they want. Like one of our first features, we didn't even have this like shoppable grid. And there's this incredible content creator, makeup artist, Katie Jane Hughes. She was like, I want a place for my followers to shop my makeup looks. So we were like, okay, it's time to build a shoppable grid. That's how we've done everything. And the same on the brand side, of brands saying, we want transparency. We want to be able to see the data on all of our sales coming in, who they're attributed to, as well as when we reach out to people, we want to know about them and how much, what can they move, and also what price point. Because some people can, maybe they don't sell as much, but they can sell a good amount at a high price point, which is extremely valuable for a brand to know.
The right things for certain companies.
Exactly.
Yep.
And yeah, really just listening and iterating on that. And I think also the timing of brands, I don't know, it's almost like we reached the peak of what influencer marketing is, and it's weird that it has this kind of negative connotation to it. I think because the industry was stuck in this like sponsored content land, rather than looking at it more as, oh, these people are like an extension of my brand, like a salesperson almost for my brand. and I should be compensating them like that, like almost a combination of like salary and commission, rather than I'm just going to find anyone, teach them about the brand, make them read a script. And I think that's why it has this connotation to it that it shouldn't. So as we just have talked to people, I think that's the only thing you can do, because the world changes so quickly. It's like, how fast did Substack become a thing? And just, you don't know unless you're in it with people. So I would say that's our biggest strength and advantage.
I'm curious about this idea of peak influencer, and it relates a little bit to the question of authenticity. And I feel like that's one of the challenges that people have with this space is, am I just being sold a bill of goods? And I feel like there's a spectrum between, you are my trusted friend and you help me because you are more stylish than I am, and watching QVC. And I don't know if that's the extent on both ends, but where do we exist? And is that a limitation on the effectiveness of this as a platform?
Yeah, I think there is, and it's something I experienced when I was creating content myself. I started like creating content because I love food, I love going out to eat, and I love sharing it with other people. And then you start to get approached by things and you're like, would I ever in any world normally get this and talk about it?
I am excited about Pizza Hut's cheesy breadsticks.
Exactly. And then it's almost like you can take the short-term benefit, but it impacts your relationship with your audience. What I always say to brands is, if you see something where it's clearly scripted, not something they would organically talk about, everyone loses in that situation. The person just who's following you just scrolls by. It doesn't drive any sales for the brand, and for the influencer, it negatively impacts their relationship with their audience. And part of it is like, brands want to work with people who already like them, so they don't have to like script and rehearse all these things. And creators want to work with brands they already like because it's very easy for them to talk about. But there has been no way to do that matching, which is what I think is one of the main value props of our platform. So I think we've just been stuck in, brands have known, we know influencers move product, we don't know how to do it, let's just throw money at it and hope that it works. And I think a lot of it has been working with the organic stuff, not with necessarily always as much with the big flat fee paid stuff, although of course there are brands doing it right. But I think that's, again, why it got this bad reputation. But whenever I meet content creators, especially ones who are just getting started, what I always say to them is to keep your day job as long as possible while you're creating content, so that you don't have to take a deal that you're not excited about and honestly shorten the lifespan of your career. Like, how can we, thinking about this for the next 10 years, what do you want to be doing? And maybe you have to have a slower start of like only talking about things you like, and you can make money from that, especially via affiliate and via subscription. So yeah, that's like the tension that is present right now.
It seems like everybody wants to be a creator. Like there's a statistic that's bandied around that something like over half of Gen Zers want to do this as a full or part-time job. Is that a good thing?
Honestly, it's hard to conceptualize, because part of me is, I think everyone, I guess there's two sides to the whole creator thing. We think of creators as, you're creating content on TikTok, you're like entertaining people in some way. And then we see another angle of it as curation. You love products, you're finding products throughout the internet or in person, and you're sharing them with other people. And I think there's a lot of people who love doing that. They do that every day, even though they wouldn't call themselves a creator. And I actually think that's the most powerful form of marketing, is when you love something so much, you tell someone about it. So and if we're going to call that a creator, it's different than someone who wants to full-time be creating TikToks all day. I don't know. I feel like there's an allure with it, but what we're trying to do really is help people who are more like the curator types make more of a living from doing that rather than the other sides of content creation.
And is there a power law distribution in this? There isn't so many things that a very small share of participants get an outsized share of the benefit.
As with every industry, it's like there's a small amount of people who do drive a good portion of sales, but every brand almost has their own set of these are our top 10 people who drive a ton, and kind of what we always encourage brands to do, and we as a platform try to do the same. It's like a healthy program has top people, but you're always trying to find a healthy base of people who are driving like a good amount of sales. But really I think the other industry shift that has happened over the past couple of years, everyone's been like obsessed with micro-influencers, rightfully, because they have incredible engagement. They usually have very specific audiences who are interested in specific things. However, it's been very hard for anyone involved in marketing to create a strategy where you can leverage micro-influencers at scale in the way that you want to, which I think affiliate in our platform, and it's all about that. And the other side of kind of what I was saying, that of anyone who wants to talk about the industry of like affiliate used to be very separate. There's affiliate for press and publishers, and there's a customer referral program, and those concepts are being merged. And a lot of brand founders who I think have some of the fastest growing brands that I've seen, they have this view that anyone is an influencer because it's simply taking the most powerful form of marketing, word of mouth, and creating a system that like scales that. So yes, there are people who month over month, they drive a ton, but then there are a lot of people who are driving like a good healthy amount of sales every month. And when they find something that they're extremely excited about and they want to talk about, they can drive like a lot more than they usually do.
I'm interested in the question of publishers and legacy media and PR. Is that still a relevant concept?
It's definitely not as relevant. I think there's so many incredible editors and writers who they used to be part of these legacy publications, and now they've gone and made their own content. And someone in the industry recently said to me that everything is about people. It's like people were reading the articles because they like the editor's tastes. So when they then go make a Substack and they're making their own collages and they're talking about what they want, they actually have more freedom to do it better and in a more authentic way. The world is responding to that. Like the influence is basically being democratized to, you don't need the name of a huge publication behind you to have people reading what or watching, what you're doing. And brands have also told me that a traditional press hit is valuable to like have and be there so that when people Google your brand, you have the equivalent of the blue check. But it doesn't move sales the way that influencers can do, even influencers with 10,000 followers. So I think the impact is declining, and a lot of people acknowledge that, but still those editors who were there, so many of our top creators on ShopMy used to be part of those publications.
Those were curators to a certain standpoint of ideas, understood what the Vogue worldview was. I understood what the GQ worldview was. Now we leave that to the algorithms?
It's not leaving it to the algorithms. It's leaving it to people who you like their taste and you want to see what they're finding. And I think
how do I find them?
Yeah. You find a lot of them on the algorithm, or other creators you follow talk about them, or there's a lot of different ways to discover these people, a brand featuring them, all these things. But it's a lot of the same motions that were happening previously. Editors and buyers they're being pitched by brands all the time. They're being taken out. They have better ways to discover new brands. And now the brands are reaching out to them on Instagram DMs, on email, on ShopMy every single day. They're being gifted product from brands. They're like the industry insiders now. So it's like they're sorting through all these things and then they're bringing them to you in this curated way. That whole concept is still very similar, So it's just, I would say it is a little bit harder, or maybe in some ways easier, to find people with tastes that, you're aligned with. I really see TikTok as that's a way to discover new people. And then they usually bring you over to other platforms, whether it be Instagram or Substack, to more so show you more about their taste. Because at least for me, and I think for most people, how they consume content on TikTok is the For You page. It's like you go on and someone's like pitching for your attention, and it gets pretty good, of course, at learning what you care about, and it knows, oh, I've clicked on this Kate sample sale thing or whatever it is, and then it starts showing me other people like that. So I've discovered people who I'm like, wow, I really like her taste. I'm going to go follow her on Instagram and start watching her stories. Then I watch all of her stories, and if she tells me multiple times, these jeans are really expensive, but I love them and genuinely think they're worth it, then I'm going to be influenced to buy something, especially something that's more expensive.
Has that process led to heterogeneity or homogeneity of kind of the things that we're consuming? I think when I started at Present in 2019 and early 2020, one of the foundational beliefs was that people, and particularly the most sophisticated consumers, wanted something else. They wanted to be 1 or 2 clicks away from what everybody else had. And up until very recently, I've been wrong. That the giant luxury conglomerates have been stronger today than they were a decade ago, which surprised me. I think my hypothesis was people are tired of the same thing, and the more you only have 3 voices with giant megaphones and mega stores on Fifth Avenue, the more people are going to want something else. But I'm not sure that's what's happened.
It's hard because it's, of course, there's the bubble that I live in, and most of the brands that I talk to are smaller brands that are growing, and they're trying to find their mix of people. And I see so many of them succeeding, and I feel like they're able to succeed because there are so many content creators and curators, and there's so many incredible brands, and everyone can have their mix now. It's not just, and like, I remember I was talking with this creator once, and she was telling me that she loves that on our platform, she can earn from these smaller brands, and she doesn't only have to make money from these big brands that aren't that exciting for her to share with her audience. And the brands also, like, they don't have to take a $100,000 gamble on a big creator. They can instead gift 20 creators who they really like their taste. They know that they move product. They can move product at their price point, and see of those 20 who posts and who can sell. And then they can figure out how do they maintain the relationship with these creators so that they continue doing it. So I think even though, of course, those luxury brands have continued to grow, it's a bit easier with this new environment where influence is democratized for good brands to grow and get the word out there, and more people of varying different taste profiles for you as a consumer follower to find these people.
And my entire feed this summer is still everybody running around Paris in Chanel ballet flats.
Yeah, I think some things like stand the test of time, and there's going to be new things that now, I don't know, maybe it'll be Kate jeans that people are wearing 25 years from now. But no, there are those things that haven't lost it, and I want them to now that I see everyone posting about them and talking about how they've lasted them so long. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that.
I think that there is product that is just good, and it's hard to undersell the value of legacy, and
totally
things stick around because they do the job that they're intended to.
Totally. And I see one of our main things that we do and things that I'm excited about the most is helping those newer brands that have good product. People respond to it. If you give it to them to try it and they love it, they want to tell their audience about it. And that's a process that we, of course, love being a part of.
Is the goal to disintermediate the paid platforms?
No, the goal is to help good product and brands grow in a way that works for them. Like I love stuff. I love meeting founders who have this excitement of something they built that they want to share with the world, and there's the art and science of it. So the goal is to help them get out there, and these content creators are an incredible way for them to do it. So building that network and the tool set for them, especially for them to be taken more seriously as the like business people and also media companies that they are, is a core part of that, because the industry was just, I don't know, it needed a new tool, I think, to allow these brands to connect with these people. Because the other thing that isn't really, you were talking about traditional media, but the other thing that has changed a lot is wholesale department stores, like multi-brand retailers, because of the rise of e-commerce. And so creators can almost fill that gap themselves. So I see us as creating the new infrastructure for the new world and way to shop, part of which is the network and part of which is the software.
All of these different perspectives are human, which is one of the beautiful things about it. I connect with people whose style, whose life, whose worldview I connect with. We're at this interesting inflection point where all of a sudden we have bots that are telling us what to do. Does that impact this in any way?
Or what do you mean?
I can have a conversation with my AI and I can say, hey, I'm going to this event, help style me for this.
Yeah.
In a conversation that I might have had with a friend, or I might have been influenced by social media before.
I love AI, but when it comes to products, there's that element of taste. It's when you have someone over and you want to show them a piece of art that you got, or for me, I'm really obsessed with this shop in Brooklyn called Porta, and I have their bowls, and whenever people come over, I'm like telling them about the bowls and how much I love them, and there's a story behind it, and I think that's not going to change. It's like these chairs that we're sitting in are so cool. I want to know more about them because I experienced it, I saw it, and that AI can't give you that. It can tell you these types of pants generally look good with this, or help you find something if you know very specifically what you want. But I don't think anything can replace the taste that people are bringing, because that is the human thing that is based on like excitement and experience and stories and storytelling. So that's where I see it going.
Tell us about Tiffany the Materialist. You just told us about some wonderful earthenware that you have. What else do you bring into your life that is meaningful to you?
In terms of beauty, clothes, anything?
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite parts of my job, being able to meet brand founders and hear their stories of all the things they could do, what inspired them to start their own brand, how they built it, how they balance the business side with the brand side. Especially in fashion, it's very hard to, I think, balance the like being precious and not being precious, because there's always growth, and how you're going to do that.
What does precious mean in that context?
I think it just means, I don't know, for example, in fashion, it's not seen as like a cool thing to do to go into kids, but there's a lot of people who want to buy cool kids brands. So it's seen as a little bit selling out, I think, sometimes. So that sort of thing of the balance of the people who built the industry versus building the business and what's exciting to you. So some of the brands that I love and I'm very excited about, I love Kallmeyer. I think it's incredibly unique, and what she's built is so impressive. There's a lot of footwear brands that I love. I love this brand, Le Monde Barrel. They make these beautiful flats. This other brand of sandals, Emmy Parsons. I actually love these earrings I got for my anniversary. The brand is Arete. And yeah, there's so many. Like every day I feel like I wake up and I discover a new brand, and I'm like, oh, I want to go meet them and talk to them and see where they're at in their journey of building their business and how we can help. And a lot of how I discover these brands is through content creators. And there's so many of them doing incredible work, styling, like editorial writing, that I'm inspired by every day.
Are there different content creators who are successful in different channels, or rather in different spaces? So are there people who are jewelry specialists? Are there people who are beauty specialists? Or do some people transcend vertical?
Yeah, there are both. There's people who, it doesn't matter what they talk about, they can sell it. Expensive, cheap, home, beauty. It's like, in general, I think we call them lifestyle influencers. And then there's people with a deep expertise. For example, we have a lot of beauty influencers. The people who move the most product in beauty by far are dermatologists, because they have an expertise, and that expertise moves product. They will teach you about vitamin C serum and why that's good for your skin. And then they'll list all the products that an affiliate has been good for them, because it's like their doctors. They're only going to talk about products that work and that they believe in. So yeah, that expertise works too. And then, but there, I guess there is this element of, if you have people's attention, they'll be curious about anything. It's funny because a lot of our beauty influencers, people will ask them what sweaters that you're wearing, and they can sell that as well. So I think the thing with expertise, that it's almost insulates people from everything else. It's because with being a lifestyle influencer, kind of one of the risks is you're so successful and people actually followed you because you were relatable, and then you're not relatable anymore if you're going on a brand trip every week, if you have all these incredible designer bags all the time. So where if you're a dermatologist and that's what your content is about, you can grow that, and the other stuff is separate. So yeah, it's just a different way, I think, to talk about product, grow your audience, and keep people engaged.
To what extent do you think that consumers of this content understand that when Dr. So-and-so is talking about a product, that she's getting compensated for that?
I think people understand, and I think people almost think even more to the extreme that every single thing that an influencer talks, like I've heard this from my own friends, that they think every single thing people talk about is sponsored and paid for, which it's not. A lot of the best people, they actually keep their audience engaged by talking about stuff that's not paid for, because the more you can do that, people know. They can see through the fake things. So yeah, I think when people also disclose it, they say, these are affiliate links, like in YouTube videos, they say, I may earn a commission from the links featured here. So I think the consumer is pretty sophisticated and knows that things are commissionable links or sponsored. Like people are pretty good about disclosing that too.
And do you have a sense from the creators how they balance that between, today I'm promoting something that I have some economic incentive to, versus here's something that just I found and delights me?
I think everyone is doing it differently, and there's no playbook, there's no professor of how to be an influencer. There's a lot of podcasts, but even those podcasts don't usually talk about the business of it. And I think there's also this element of people don't necessarily want to share that side of things. And that's why I think part of it is really hard. Like, people don't give influencers the respect that they deserve in a lot of ways. They're basically writing the magazine and selling the ads for the magazine, and they're not really being treated like that, and there's no one really that they can go to. So everyone does it differently, but I do think you have to balance the earning money and keeping your audience engaged and entertaining, which may not be an immediate way to earn money. You have to keep the eyeballs there for when I used to create content, I would think I want to go out to 7 places and pay my own money before going to one place that I went to the restaurant for free, because otherwise you can't really make something that is genuine and organic. And what I used to always,
your 7th Cheesecake Factory review is not so compelling.
My friends used to always ask me, would you pay your own money for it, this restaurant? And I think you can ask the same for influencers. And if the answer is yes to that over and over, it's like they're doing a really good job of being authentic. And I think their audience knows that.
I'm fascinated by this idea that our friend Heather Hurst introduced me to, which is this idea of parasocial relationships. And I was thinking about this last night because I was at a dinner and I was sitting next to somebody who I had never met in person, but for years I have consumed their content. And there was a moment of pause where I'm like, I know all of these things that you have shared. I feel weird about asking you things that you have never directly told me.
Yeah.
It's an odd way to be in a relationship with people, both in the metaverse and then once you get into the real world.
It's funny because I have that all the time, both in the context of creators we're meeting and telling them about ShopMy, as well as even your friends. Like when you catch up with a friend and you don't have to ask them what they were doing for the past month. You're like, oh, I saw that you went to Lake Como, and I saw that you did this, and I saw that you did that. And then you're just getting the additional detail. But yeah, there now is...
This is just the real-time Christmas letter all year long?
That dance of them trying to understand if you followed them and watched everything that they said. So do they have to tell you or not? So I usually lead with, yeah, I've been watching your stories and blah, blah, because it just makes it easier for them to know. But yeah, it is a very weird thing that is just, especially if you're in this industry, happens all the time. But it even happens with friends too.
Tell us about your entrepreneurial journey. So you said you had a brief stint in startups before you founded ShopMy. What has that ride been like for you?
It's been incredible. It's been so fun and so challenging, and the most like rewarding thing I've done. I'm different from my co-founders in that both of them they've wanted to start companies since they were like 12. And not that I didn't want to, but I wasn't reading the books of how to start a company and how to raise money. I like building things, and I like building things that I feel like are useful to people. That gives me a lot of joy and satisfaction. And I actually think having that balance between us as co-founders of them being obsessed with building a company and business and me being obsessed with building something that's useful for brands and creators has been a really good balance, because it's like the same thing for brands. And what we were talking about before we started recording of like the best products and things people are obsessed with the most almost started as not being a business. Like I always think of, I went to my friend's welcome party for her wedding, and I was like, this is the best restaurant ever. How did you find it? And she was like, it's funny you say that. It's actually my dad's restaurant. He started it with his friends because they didn't feel like there was a place in town that everyone wanted to go to that was a vibe that they wanted. And of course now everyone's obsessed with it because they're not just like trying to make a successful concept. They're making something they love. People can feel that. And I think there's a lot of that with ShopMy. But yeah, it's been a different challenge at different stages of the business. At the beginning,
how far in are you?
We're 5 years in. So at the beginning, it's just a lot of pitching, a lot of people saying no to you, and just selling every day. Where now the challenges are different. It's scaling, it's figuring out different issues, it's working more on our brand and the future as opposed to just the waking up and selling and doing every day. And it's also learning how to delegate, learning how to manage people, working on finding people, finding great talent changes and has changed our business so much. So, but yeah, ultimately it's really fun. And I love our team and the brands and creators we get to work with. And there's always like a new challenge to work on.
What does this business want to be when it grows up?
We want to continue to be a place where we can help good brands grow and good products get out there. Right now, there aren't that many easy ways to do it. It's really expensive to advertise on Meta. It's hard to crack into the world of press and PR. And we want to build a road and system where if you have a really good product, you can grow in an efficient, on-brand way. And what that's going to look like 5-10 years from now, I don't exactly know. I know that word of mouth will still be a powerful concept, and we need to grow our creator base and grow the brand base, but it's following our customers, which are brands and creators, and what they need as the world changes.
You were talking a bit ago about your partners, your co-founders driving the business and you driving the product. That's the right way to think about it. How do you divide responsibilities? Who owns what?
Yeah. I think the ideal situation for anyone in work is you're doing something that you're excited about, that you're good at, and is valuable for the business. So we've all found out like what that is for us. For my co-founder, he's really talented at engineering and like building the actual product. I'm the one who's oftentimes talking to the brands and creators about it, what we need to change. He's the one who's actually coding it and building it. So it's dividing and conquering from the technical perspective, but also understanding your strengths and weaknesses from like a personality and skill set perspective of there's things I'm not good at. Like I'm not good at being salesy, and sometimes people need that. So which one of us are we going to call in to do that? Some of my co-founders they're not as patient as I am. So if sometimes it's about listening, I'll be the one to do that. So I recommend to everyone, if it's really hard to build a business alone, because not one person like has it all. It's not to say that you can't do it alone, but it's much easier to do it when you have other people who feel the same level of ownership in the company and dedication, just with having 3 different people. So,
what was the biggest thing you didn't know when you started?
I think the biggest thing I didn't know was nobody really knows what they're doing. Like, you think that everyone is an expert and knows everything, but then you realize that they don't. And I think that's a lot of what allows me to be confident. And also, for example, the world of affiliate, there's not that many people that know about it like that. And with everything, it's like they had the same resources that we did to learn. And yeah, I feel like people shouldn't be scared or intimidated to do anything, because most people are just trying to learn too, and the world moves so fast and we're all just trying to keep up, and no one is really that much of an expert because everything is changing all the time. So I think that was the biggest thing, that I thought certain people were going to have all the answers, but they don't. They're also figuring it out.
And has that impacted the way that you think about building your team?
I don't put a lot of weight in experience and like skill set as much as I put into attitude, excitement, and just raw skills, because you can do so much more with the right attitude and energy than you can with any skill, I think, because you can learn any skill. Like I always say to our team, you can work 80 hours and feel really excited, or you can work 80 hours and feel drained. And we're trying to build a team where people work really hard and feel energized because they have like autonomy, because we trust them, because we hired them to figure out the problem, not thinking that they know the answers. So it's really shaped my view on hiring and just the people that we want to work with and partner with in general. Do they have that attitude?
I got that wrong. I think it took me, I don't know, at least 3 years to figure that out. And I think it came from a place of insecurity. I thought that other people had the answer, and I thought that those people's answers were readily discernible from their resumes. And if you found people that had the right names on the resumes and they came from the right places, then they'd solve your problems. And then they didn't. And then they were looking to me for, what is the answer? I said, I don't have the answer. We're collectively trying to figure this out. But it requires a degree of humility that I think is not rewarded in traditional companies, because you don't generally get praised for saying, I don't know the answer. And okay, that's got to be the starting point. It can't be the finishing point in a startup, but like, all right, go figure it out. Come up with a colorable hypothesis, go run the test. Then we know a little bit more than we did 20 minutes ago.
Totally. Yeah, and I think there's this, it would be so nice if there was someone who the skill set, the expertise means they could directly solve the problem that you wanted them to solve. But you realize that it's like there's no shortcuts. There's no get rich quick scheme or easy way out. You have to find people who, and I think that's why having a team that they have the view of, this is our company, we want to solve problems, we don't think you have the answers, we'll figure it out together, rather than view something as someone else's problem. I think that's another great thing about startups of, yeah, everyone has ownership stake in the company, we're building this together, everyone's going to benefit from it, and we want it to be everyone's best career decision. And I think that's also the best thing that we can do, because that's what's going to energize people and help us create value.
And if there is conventional wisdom and you execute it flawlessly, you are at best going to get middling results, because that's not where unique things come from.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about the Acquired podcast, and my friends Ben and David host that. And I was listening to an interview with them recently, and they were saying, you have created this enormous success. They're playing to 6,500 people tonight at Radio City. And they've done absolutely everything opposite to the traditional wisdom in podcasting. They release one episode a month. It's 3.5 to 4 hours. It's on this remarkably esoteric topic, and they have millions of fervent fans. And they did it the way that they wanted, and they did it iteratively and with a great deal of passion. And I think that's the only way that you are going to build something. And Ben was talking about how that is not unique to a podcast. That is the story of every great and unique journey. Yeah. That if you follow the playbook, okay, maybe you do fine, but it's the people that end up having just an irrational passion for it and keep banging their head against the wall that, I don't know, or maybe we just convince ourselves that's the payoff for doing things that are irrational.
Yeah. No, there's no playbook for something that hasn't been done before. Otherwise, you're going to have to write the playbook once you do it. But yeah.
And then you can't play that again because it's already been played.
No, that's the hard thing. But it also, that's not to say you can't learn certain things from the playbooks and books, but no one's going to write it for you.
You guys have raised a whole bunch of institutional capital. Does that change the way that you think about the business or the pressures on you?
Not really. Like, we're committed to building something incredibly useful and valuable. I view it as we just have more people on our team to help us do it. Because, I don't know, I think in that, very similar to the concept of a restaurant or a brand, if you're doing something, like I hear all these stories about beauty brands that they're just doing things for these metrics that they know VC firms care about. It's like, that's when your brand isn't going to work anymore. So we have to stay like relentlessly focused on our customers and on the business. And we're lucky to have incredible investors that really they're just an extension of our team. It's if we want to get to someone and they can help us, like, they're going to do it, not that it's going to change how we approach the business, because I think that's how we grow it, is just staying close to our customers.
And hopefully you learn from the last generation of businesses that I think grew in less I don't know, authentic or useful ways and are now zombie businesses. And the things from a couple of generations ago, I was just looking the other day at some of the 2015 IPO darlings that are off 99.5% from the time they went public. And you go, what happened here? There was not a structure that actually supported a real business.
Yeah. And I think the best thing that we did, and I always try to come back to it, even though we have more resources now, having the mentality of being scrappy helps the company so much. Like the way that we did things improved everything, and we have just a much stronger foundation to stand on. I talked to my co-founder a lot about how we've been pretty bad at sales. Like I think we have a good product and we tell people about it, but we haven't done these crazy growth hacks to get customers quickly that we don't think we can keep. We've tried to find brands that we think our creator base is going to be excited about, get them onto the platform and grow from there, from a strong foundation. Same with the creator base and expanding beyond that. So yeah, those are, I feel like, the lessons that were learned from that era of VC companies.
I feel like at least for your customer base, either for the brands or for the creators, they're networked enough that the delivery of a useful product is actually much more effective for you than it could be for maybe people that are working with consumers or people offering a different sort of business. If you are helping me grow my business, I am absolutely going to cheerlead for you. And my peers are your potential customers.
Yeah, like that's very similarly in our industry as to consumer products. The best way to grow is word of mouth and people talking about that they like you. And we now have a lot of people on the brand side that they worked at one brand, then they went to another brand, and ShopMy was very useful for them here. So when they got a new job, they signed up, and I like that because I'm like, oh, clearly we're making your life easier, and that makes me happy. But yeah, if you're doing something that doesn't work or is bad, it's like people talk, people will figure out. And the same for if it's good. Like people want to help other people, and if they think ShopMy is helping them do that, they're going to talk about it. So that's why I think product is the best marketing. I think a lot of people have said that, and I think it's true.
Yeah. What's next?
We're continuing to grow the business where we predominantly have been focused on beauty and fashion, but have recently, really over the last 6 months, have really been focusing on home, and now have a great core group of brands in that cohort. And I think what's coming next is how can we improve the experience to be for products that aren't just things you purchase online, but also hotels and travel, and helping to facilitate that whole experience, because I think that's something that both brands and creators want streamlined. They're getting gifted stays, and the hotels are trying to find people who are going to be in these cities. So travel is something I'm very excited about, and I know our creators are excited about it and have asked.
It is a huge market.
Yeah, pretty much anything right now that you can buy online, that's pretty easy for us to work with, especially if it's a giftable product. But adjusting the experience and figuring out how we're going to track all the purchase and influence for something that is a little bit different than clicking through an affiliate link and checking out on your phone.
And I imagine the more considered the purchase, the more challenging that attribution is. And attribution continues to be the trillion-dollar opportunity, and I suppose probably will be until we die. But it's particularly, we see that in our business. The more expensive a piece is, the more touches it requires, and the more channels that are seen. Does that affect the way that you think about the product?
Yeah, definitely. And it's so true. And it's like you think about when you buy a house and all the thinking and planning and effort that you had to do for that.
The 7 years worth of Zillow searches are not
exactly.
in the attribution for your mortgage.
And so I think how trackable it is and the funnel of the purchase is just different for each industry. So it always starts with just learning what do people in the industry know 100% works now, and how can we make it easier, and then evolve from there. Like even with in beauty, you have to gift way more, and the percentage of people who post about you is less, so you have to pay attention more to the people who do post to get them to post more frequently. Where in fashion, it's more giftable, it's easier to talk about for the influencer because they can just put it on and talk about it, where that whole experience and funnel is different for every other industry. But the more expensive, they're also more likely to buy it in person. But there's still things that they do to find and nurture these people that we can help with. But yeah, it's just learning what those things are and building the solutions and the Salesforce/curator community to pair with them.
You told us about your earrings. What else do you have in your life from a jewelry perspective that's meaningful to you?
My engagement ring.
That's a good thing.
And yeah, I think for jewelry, it's, as I've talked about to probably so many people, just that it's like an occasion thing. And I got the earrings for my anniversary. I got this ring for my engagement, this bracelet for my birthday. But these
are things that you've received, or these are things you bought for yourself?
Received as gifts. Yeah, and now I love incorporating the meeting, as I think we share a passion for this, meeting these jewelry brand founders and hearing their story about what inspired them to do things, and then that informs what I want, and then I can tell the story of, oh, I met this founder and I love what she's doing, and I can give that story to other people. I'm always excited to meet these new brand founders, and that's usually what's going on my wish list after I meet them, and then I'm excited about the purchase.
Have you met anybody recently who you were enthralled by? Enthralled to? I don't know.
Probably the most recent was Talia from Arete. So those are the earrings that I have, and she's been in the fashion industry for a long time, but I actually saw her wearing these earrings at a dinner I was at with her, and I was like, those are the most beautiful earrings, and I want them. And they just looked so incredible on her. And yeah, we got along, and she was telling me about her journey in building the brand and working for other brands. So I think she was the most recent in terms of jewelry.
There is something about that personal connection, that you understand why something exists. And I love that you did that in the real world. That was true influence. True influence, exactly. Tiffany, if people want to find you in the world, where do you exist on the socials?
Yeah.
Or do you exist on the socials?
I do. My Instagram is Tiff Lopinsky, and our company's Instagram is ShopMy. So yeah, that's me.
And are you Substacking or?
Yeah, I have a Substack, but I haven't been very active recently. I started to understand more about Substack when it started becoming huge for our creators and just as a source for affiliate links. But I also have one. I plan to post more, but Instagram is where you'll see most of the updates.
Yeah, you have a couple of other things going on. Tiffany Lopinsky, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this episode of The Materialist. If you like what you heard, please rate, and subscribe to The Materialist wherever you get your podcasts. The Materialist is a presentation of At Present Matchmaker to Extraordinary Jewelry. We'll see you next time.